Hello, Christmas is coming and Adrian emerges from his cave for another Christmas special. Sorry, I don't think I can do the entire video dressed in this ridiculous outfit. So I've changed into another equally ridiculous outfit, I hear you say, though. I'm very fond of this kind of mohair leopard print jumper. I think it's pretty cool and don't care what anybody says. So this year I've decided to go traditional and I've got a version of the song Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And this song, originally from 1943, was in the musical Meet Me in St. Louis, where it was sung by Judy Garland, and there are all kinds of great versions of this tune. It's a really nice tune, nice melody. Some of my favourite versions, I like the Frank Sinatra version. I've got this Frank Sinatra Christmas record here which comes out at Christmas every year in my house. Also like the Bright Eyes version. There's the Bright Eyes Christmas album. I don't know if any of you know that one, but they do a kind of indie take on this tune which is really good. And then obviously you've got the Michael Bublé version, and who doesn't like a bit of the Bublé at Christmas? Now I've come up with a solo guitar arrangement of this song. It's kind of a chord melody style thing, and this is my own arrangement. So I spent most of yesterday trying to figure out a good arrangement for this tune. I deliberately didn't check out any guitar versions of this piece because I wanted my version to be vaguely original, and this is what I've come up with. And I might just briefly talk about my process when I'm coming up with a solo arrangement like this. So first thing I did was listen to some of those famous recordings and just get a feel for the harmony and the chords. So first thing to do is to learn the melody and then to figure out the chord progression. And the chord progression in this one is lots of fairly standard jazz style chord changes. All these different versions tend to do it in different keys. So what I did is I just got a piece of paper and then wrote the chord progression down in Roman numerals. Then I could transpose it to whatever key I wanted to. So that was the next decision, to decide what key I was going to put this in on the guitar. And you just want it to fall nicely on the guitar. I chose to put it in the key of A just because the melody seems to fit nicely in that key. Also, being in the key of A means I can take advantage of some open strings as well. So you can kind of use most of the open strings when you're playing in that key. So what I'm going to do is take you through how to play my arrangement in a reasonable amount of detail. There is going to be a tab up on my website, and because it's Christmas I'm going to make that tab available completely free, no strings attached. You don't need to sign up to my mailing list, you don't need to download my ebook or whatever. I haven't got an ebook, but you don't need to do anything like that. Free tab on my website. There'll be a link underneath this video, or you can just go on my website and do a search. I think when you're learning something like this, it's actually quite helpful to have the music and the tab in front of you when you're learning it. I'm going to describe things in a little bit of detail, but I'm not going to be describing every single note and every single chord. It would be here for far too long. Now, I will say that this piece isn't really a beginner's piece. There's quite a lot of jazz chords and jazz vocabulary going on here, but I've tried not to make it ridiculously difficult. I've avoided any really crazy chords, crazy stretches, so I hope that the average player can probably give this one a good go. And if you do find stuff that you find difficult or is beyond your current level of ability, you can always simplify. I think if you remember that the melody is the most important thing, anything else is kind of optional, and you can leave stuff out, you can change chord voicings just to make it playable and to make it your own. So without any further ado, let's take a look at how to play it. So I'm going to kick off with the verse then, and the overall structure of this piece is fairly simple. We've just got a verse and a bridge. I think the verse is repeated 3 times, and there's a slight variation each time in the ending of that verse, which I'm going to take you through. But let's kick off with the first phrase, which goes like this. And when I'm putting together an arrangement like this, obviously you've got to be familiar with the melody and with the chords before you can put those two things together. So the melody here is quite simple, just an A major scale kind of melody. And the chords are also pretty simple. We've just got a typical 1-6-2-5 chord progression. It's kind of a rhythm changes type chord progression. So it's an A is the 1, F sharp minor 7 is the 6, B minor 7 is the 2, E7 is the 5. And it's then just a kind of puzzle to fit those two things together, the chords and the melody, and just to find a way that it seems to sit nicely on the guitar. So for the 1 chord, I just kept things quite simple. The melody is just A and C sharp, and I'm playing an open A string at the same time as that first A. And then the next two melody notes, we've got an E and an A, and I'm harmonizing those with a pair of minor seventh chords. So got a C sharp minor 7, and then sliding that same shape up here to the 9th fret, and F sharp minor 7. So the F sharp minor 7, as I said, is the 6th chord. The C sharp, I've kind of added in this extra chord here. This is the 3 chord in the key, so that's kind of my addition, but really the 3 chord and the 6 chord kind of sound very similar, and they serve the same function in the key, so this is a nice kind of extra chord to throw in there. And then the melody continues like this, and the chords at this point are, it's the 2-5, it's the B minor 7 to E7. So this first melody note is the 11th or the 4th on top of the B minor chord, so you can use this really nice B minor 11 voicing. So I've got the 7th fret on the E, D and G, and then you've got this E note, which is the 5th fret on the B string. Then I'm continuing with the melody. I'm just fitting that in and around that chord shape. So I've got E, C, C sharp, and then I'm playing an open B string. And if you can try and just get all of those notes to ring together, it creates a nice effect, I think. And then just wrapping up this phrase, I've got a pair of thirds here, so I've got A to B on the G string, and then F sharp to G sharp on the D. Playing open low E. Also just adding in this D note at the 5th fret on the A string, just to create that E7 sound. So that's our first phrase. Now, the second phrase is very similar to the first. Exactly the same, just got an extra E7 thrown in there at the end, so it's going straight from the B minor 7 to this E7, so it's low E, and then we've got a G sharp, got a D and an E. And the third phrase, the melody goes a little bit higher. We've got, so what I'm doing is this. So I've got C sharp to E again with the open A string. This time I'm jumping straight to the F sharp minor 7. The melody notes are just on the top of that chord, so the B string and the E. Then we've got B minor 7. I'm just barring all the way across at the 7th fret, and the melody is this. And then I'm sliding down to the 5th fret on the B. And this E note here is at the top of an E7 chord. I've got this C form E7. So I'm playing the top note first, and then filling in the other notes underneath. I'm going to a C sharp on the G string. We've got a little turnaround now. So this is kind of a 3-6-2-5 turnaround. So we've got this. This is like a C sharp minor 7. So I've got a C sharp here. I've got the flat 7 on the D string, this is a B, and a C sharp here as well. I'm going to, it's the same shape we just used as an E7, but 2 frets higher. So now this is an F sharp 7. We've got a B minor 7. I'm just throwing in a little extra melody here. Low E. So that's the first verse. Why don't I do a slow playthrough of all of that? I'll turn on the effects as well so you can hear with the proper sound. So now we're going round for a repeat, the second verse, and this is exactly the same until you get to the last few bars. So we're going to start the same way. And the second phrase is the same. Now the third phrase, this is where it changes. Setting up the bridge. So it's when you get to that B minor 7 chord. The first time through it was, but now the melody is going higher, so we've got still that same B minor 7 bar, but we've got now we're going to this chord. It's a C sharp 7. It's kind of a secondary dominant, I suppose. And the melody notes, we've got a G sharp and a B, so the G sharp is in the chord, putting down my little finger for the B, and that's leading us to an F sharp minor 7. So it's, and I'm just filling in some time before the bridge, so I'm moving to another voicing of F sharp minor 7. This is starting on 9th fret on the A. It's 9, 7, 9, 10, and then we've got an A7, and I'm just playing simple A7 at the 5th fret, and that's leading us into the bridge. Slow playthrough of the second verse then. Let's take a look at the bridge then, and I think this is the most complex section of the piece, both harmonically and technically. So I'm just going to go through it bit by bit. The first part goes like this. We've got, so we've gone to the 4 chord, which is a D major 7. Just got the open D string and then this little shape here, and then I'm going to D minor major 7, so you're flattening the third there, so this F sharp is going to an F. A couple of melody notes on the B string. Then we've got an A major 7. I've got open A string and then 11 on the D, 9 on the G and B, and then the melody is on the B string. And a nice little passing diminished chord. This is a C diminished 7. And then the melody is again on the B string. And going to the B minor 7 again. The melody on the B. Going to E7. This time it's kind of an A form, because I want that G sharp to be on top. And then we're going back to the 1 chord. here I've got open A string, 6 on the D and the G, and I've got a G sharp going down to an F sharp. Second half of the bridge then we've got a D sharp minor 7 flat 5. It's more kind of 2-5-1 stuff. A lot of this is kind of cycle of fifths stuff. So we've got D sharp minor 7 flat 5. I like to play this with my thumb over the top when I get this high up the neck, otherwise it's a bit of a squeeze. So I've got the D sharp minor 7 flat 5, and that's going to a G sharp 7 flat 9. Using my little finger for the melody there. We're going to C sharp minor 7 at the 9th fret. And again, I'm playing that with my thumb over the top, but you could bar if you prefer. And then we've got an F sharp 7. Not nice simple C form. F sharp 7, and I'm going to this. We've got that kind of dominant to minor sound, and I'm switching to an F sharp minor 9. So in fret numbers here we've got the 9th fret on the A, and then 7, then 9 and 9. Melody climbs up the B. Got a B7 down here, so I'm just playing the B and then an A and then a B, and then we're back to the 5 chord, and what I'm playing is a 7 sus4 going to the 7th, and that's taking us back to the top for another verse. Let's have a slow playthrough of the bridge then. We're nearly there. We're just going to go round for the third and final verse, and that is exactly the same as the second verse. There's just a little ending tagged on, and there's just a small variation at the end of the verse as well. So if you remember, in the second verse I played the F sharp minor 7, and I came down for this A7. I'm just playing the A7 chord slightly differently in verse 3, and I'm playing this really nice A7 voicing. So we've got an open A string, I've got a C sharp at the 11th fret of the D string, and then I've got a G, an A, and a C sharp on top. So it's a nice A7 sound, and that sets us up for this little ending. So what we've got here, we're starting with a D major 7, this is open D string, then we've got a D, F sharp, C sharp on top, and the melody is inside that chord shape, just reaching up for this A, and then this is played out of that B minor 7 that we've had before, the melody. We're going to E7, and I'm actually playing a kind of E9th sound here. So it's open low E, then we've got a G sharp, a D and an F sharp. Going up to this little shape here, this is kind of got a flat 9 in it, which is quite nice. I think this is just the 9th fret on the D, 10 on the G, 9 on the B. And I'm finishing with this lovely A major 7 voicing. It's open A string, then got a C sharp, G sharp and an A. I'm just arpeggiating that chord. I'm coming down here. This is like an A6. I've got an F sharp, C sharp and an E. Finishing with a simple open position A major 7. So let's have a slow playthrough of the third verse and the ending. Let me talk you through the gear that I'm using today then. And guitar is a Telecaster 52 reissue from the 1990s. Amp is a Vox AC30. And I've decided today to go for quite a processed sound, I suppose. I'm using quite a few effects. Obviously, if you're a purist, you can dispense with the effects and just have a guitar into an amp sound and go for that more traditional kind of jazz chord melody sound. But I like the way the effects sounded on this particular tune. And the pedals that I'm using today, I've got a few pedals on the go. I'm using the Surfy Bear reverb once again that I discussed in a previous video. I'm not going over the top with that. There's just a little bit of spring reverb. And then from there I'm going into the Belle Epoque Deluxe delay pedal, which one of my favourite delay pedals. Again, not super prominent with the delays there, quite warm repeats just kind of nestled in the background of the sound. Then I've got a little bit of drive from the Rocket Archer pedal, and I'm putting that after the delay and after the reverb, and I just quite like the way that that sounds. And again, it's not loads of overdrive, I'm just using it to warm up the sound a little bit. And then I think the key part of this sound today is the tremolo pedal, and this is another Surfy pedal. It's their Surfy Trem pedal, and I'm using it in the brown face mode, and as I understand it, it's based on one of the early Fender brown face amps. I'm not sure exactly which one, but it's got that kind of harmonic tremolo sound, which has got that nice kind of throbby sound to it. It's a little bit like a Leslie speaker or a Univibe as well as a tremolo, and I think that really works well on this piece. Well, that's about it for this video. I hope you have a lot of fun getting this piece of music together. Remember, the music and the tab will be up on my website completely free. That's my gift to you, you lovely people. And that's about it for this year. I think I will probably be back with one more video next week, but that's just about it. And it seems like as good an opportunity as any to say thank you to everybody for putting up with me over this past year. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for all the kind comments. Thanks also to my patrons for stumping up their cold hard cash. That really has made all the difference in my ability to keep on producing these videos. So thanks very much for that. If you celebrate Christmas, and I suppose you wouldn't really be here watching this video if you didn't celebrate Christmas, but hope you all have a great Christmas, and I shall see you in the new year. Bye bye.